Welcome back, my friends. And now what we are going to do in this class is this chapter, we are going to learn a little bit about everything inside Cinema 4D. So if you are starting in this 3D environment, you're going to be able to start working right away. Right after this class, you're going to be able to start creating, modeling, texturing, and creating your cool renderings. So first of all, we are going to take a look in here, and you can see that we have this window called Quick Start Dialog. Now this is going to pop up every time you open Cinema 4D. You can change some of the behaviors in the preferences, but this window allows you to create a new project or open an existing project. And also you have an option for you can see the different objects that you have been using, the different scenes that you have been working with, and you can have access to different posts in the web and different tutorials in University and a lot of cool stuff. So what we are going to do right now is I'm gonna go and click on this one called robot backbot. All right, so I'm just gonna click in here, and we're gonna get something in our scene. And that's just because I want you to have something, and I want you to see how the interface with actual objects will look like. All right, and first of all, we have our scene in here, this area where the robot is, and where you can see that he's modeling. And if you don't have anything and you want to create something, it's just really simple. All you have to do is click in this little guy, and you just click on the cube option, and you're gonna create a cube. All right, and but for now, just stay with me. We're gonna take this model as our model, and he looks cute, so I like him. And all right, so first of all, let's see what we have here. This is our interface. Now the interface has different sections that we're going to be using. And first of all, you have something called the main menu, which is this object that you have here. So if I click in here, you can see that I can create a new project if I want to. I have an edit option. I have create, modes, selection, tools, mesh, spline, volume, MoGraph, character, animate, simulate, tracker. And it all depends of the actual version of Cinema 4D that you're using. In this case, I am using Cinema 4D S22, the newest one right now. And it's pretty cool because I have access to almost everything inside here. So now what I want you to do is take a look at the next section that we have here, where we have a lot of different cool graphics. You can see that I have this little guy in here, this cross, this cube, well, this kind of square, this circle with made with two different arrows, and X, Y, and Z. All of these are tools that we're going to be using almost really often, all right? But some of them, we are not going to be using them by clicking, because clicking on these things can be a waste of time, all right? So as you can see here, I have this move tool, and you can see that I have a shortcut. And if you place your cursor on top of one of these objects, almost all of them, they're going to give you a hint about what you can do with this specific object. So in this case, you can see that in here, I have my live selection, and I have a shortcut called number 9. So if I click number 9, I'm going to be able to select this object. And now I want you to try that on. So you click 9, and you can see how my cursor changes, and your cursor is probably changing. And now with this tool, I can actually select objects. Now if I go and check the other shortcut, you can see that I have E for the move tool. So now I can select, and you can see that my object, my cursor changes, and also this object changes. Now the same thing is going to happen with this. I'm going to go with T, and automatically it's going to switch from here to here. You can see T, and then if I press R, it's going to switch to the other one. All right, so these are the shortcuts. You have E, T, and R for this, and 9 for this live selection. We'll talk about that later, but right now my point is that I want you to start remembering and recognizing some of the most useful shortcuts that we have. So these 4 objects, excuse me, are for manipulation of our objects. These 4 tools are meant to be used for our manipulation. So keep these ones in mind and remember those shortcuts. Now after that, we have our dimensions. We have a lot of different cool things, and in this section, from this cube to the light bulb, you can see that we have pretty cool icons. And in this case, for example, I can create objects. You can go like that and start creating objects from here. You can go and start creating curves from here. You can add some effects, or we will call them effects right now. We have a lot of different options for manipulating our geometry. not our objects. We're gonna say, well, some of them can help us to manipulate our objects, but in a different way. They're gonna help us to interact with our objects. If we want to manipulate them, we will be using these options. And then if we want to start dealing with the geometry of our object, we're gonna have some other tools. But for now, just keep that in mind. If you want to create things, you can go to this quick menu where you can just go and, like, as you can see here, I just created a light and it's right here. Now, if I don't see it, I can go back and it's right here. I can go and press, remember the shortcut E, and I can get my selection tool. So now I can move this light and you can see how it is interacting with my robot. So I can move it and I can change the position of the light and it's interacting with this robot right away. And that's what we can do. We can create cameras, we can create a lot of different type of objects just by using this section. Now, after this section, we have our tool manipulation bar, which is this one right here, this vertical bar. And you can see that I have a lot of different objects and features. Now, these tools help me with the manipulation of different objects inside the geometry, okay? We have points, we have lines, and we have faces, or we can call these points, dots, vertices. We can call these faces, polygons. I mean, there's a different way of referring to these sections. But for now, we are going to be working with objects only, all right? Later on, in another class, I will talk about these three guys. Now, that's something that I want you to understand. These ones are really important. These three are kind of the most important thing, the important ones in this section. Obviously, we have some other tools that are really cool, but these three are your main kind of option, all right? So these three from this vertical line. Now, underneath here, underneath the robot, we have our materials. So here you can see that we have different type of materials. If I double click on this plastic one, you can see that I get access to the material editor, and I can change things if I want to. For example, I can change the color if I want to. Right now, I have a texture in here and it's not responding kind of the way I would like to, but I can remove this texture, and now you can see that some of the things, this area in here, for example, if we get closer to this area, you can see that now we have this black color. And if we change the color and the variation of here, we have brightness set to 0. When I can move that, and now I can start dealing with that, and I can, you know, change the color of my object. So that's what we can do with materials. Now I'm gonna close this material now that you know what you can do with this, and let's go and go to, I don't know if this is the actual body of the object. Let's go here and click on clear. No, this is not. I'm gonna press Ctrl+Z in order to undo that, and it has to be this one, yeah. And we're going to clear this, and now you can see that we have a different color for the robot. So I can start increasing the brightness, and you can see that I can change the color of this robot, make it look in a different kind of tint if I want to. That's how we deal with materials. So that's why it's a really important section. You know, materials are really important because they are the ones that are going to give life to our characters and our objects. So I'm going to press Ctrl+Z in order to undo. That is another shortcut that I recommend you to understand and use. Ctrl+Z allows you to go, and instead of using undo this, you can press Ctrl+Z, and that's the shortcut. That's one that we are going to be using a lot, believe me. And so that's another important section in here. Now there is another one. As you can see here, we have a material kind of editor in here, but this one is actually our attribute panel. Now here in our attributes, we can deal with settings of the object that we are selecting right now. For example, right now I am selecting this plastic material, so that's why I get access to this information. But what happens if I select this orange? All right, so I'm gonna get access to this one now. If I select, for example, these controls, now you can see that I get access to this. If I select and click the light, now I get access to this information. So this panel is going to help me with the attributes of the actual objects that I am selecting. It's not that this is my material editor, okay? If I want to deal with the material editor, I have to double click on the actual material that I want to use, and that's what is going to happen. Now remember, right now we are not talking about materials, we are not talking about anything else but the actual interface and what we have in here. Now, right in here we have our objects manager, and here I can see the actual objects that I have inside my scene. As you can see, I have this light that we created is right here, and you have all of these options and controllers for the object. So you can see that is has been made with by using a lot of different controls and a lot of different objects. So that's what we have here. Now I can click on this and create a cube. I just click, drag, release, and now I have a cube, and you can see that the cube appears right in here. So I can move that, and you can see how it's interacting with the actual light. Now the thing in here is that you can see that all the properties that we have now in my attributes are set to the cube object that I am selecting right now. So that's why this panel is really important. And actually all of these panels that you can see right now are really, really important because they are the ones we're going to be using all the time. Now, for example, if you want to see what can we do with this little guy in here, this is meant for animation. Now, for example, if I want to animate this cube, I can put it in here, let's say, and I'm just going to create a keyframe. Don't worry about this. I'm just going to press Control and click in here, and then I'm going to go to frame 90. All right, and I'm going to move this guy to this area, and I'm going to press Control, click, and now I created an animation. You can see this line that is representing the animation that we have. Now here we have some controls where I can rewind this, and now this guy is going to go back to the starting position, and then I'm going to hit play, and now you can see that the cube is moving. It's magic. That is what is happening, my friends. All right, so as you can see, pretty kind of basic setup, really easy to understand. And now I think that we are ready to start working with Cinema 4D in our next class. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now. Take care.